My dear Graham Norton, welcome to Queerly Beloved, all the way from Ireland. So happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, Will. I'm delighted to be here. I really enjoyed when you popped in as a guest on my show. It was fantastic to have you. You were so interesting to talk to. So, oh, look at this. Everything's standing on edge. So, spirit is quite prevalent at the moment. This is going to be fun.
Already, I love that. Yeah, it was such a joy, such a pleasure to get to be on your podcast and do some live tarot readings. I love the format, how you don't know who you're going to interview until that moment, and that the cards kind of guide the interview and how perfectly the cards guided you, and of course your intuitive nature. But that was such a joy for me, and full of such insights. So I appreciate that, and I'm so happy to have you on Queerly Beloved. So let's jump into it. The first question I love to ask my guests is to tell me who you are in this moment. But take a moment and kind of breathe into it and tell me by describing a drag avatar that embodies that. And it could be a drag queen or it could be like an element from nature, but who are you in this moment?
Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting one, wouldn't it be? I suppose if I was a drag avatar, who would I be? Um, Definitely. I mean, I'd have to be the high priestess if of
Hmm.
the tarot, but what would you call that? Because uh, I suppose her name would be uh, Luna, because of course the moon,
Hmm.
the high priestess. So I suppose Luna Regina. There we go.
Hmm.
I quite like that one. Yes.
Hmm.
Because and of course tomorrow is the full moon in Taurus as well.
Oh.
So very beautiful, and we're in Scorpio season. So that's all of the
Hmm.
mysteries and sensuality on the earth and the power of the moon. So I
Hmm.
suppose, yes, I think if I was to be a drag queen avatar, it would have to be of the high priestess of the tarot.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
And of
thank you
course the
for
divine feminine.
Yes, yeah, I can't wait to get into some more celebration and exploration of the divine feminine in this conversation today. And I'll just check in. I'm just back from a week on the ocean on a
Oh,
cruise.
so jealous.
Thank you. It was a pleasurable week, very, very pleasurable. And I think in that spirit, there's a flow in my energy. As I'm kind of like re-landing on Earth after being on the ocean, I'm sort of in that ocean meets Earth energy. So what I'm seeing is this this goddess of the sea and earth. And she's got blonde flowing hair, wavy flowing hair, and she's wearing these sort of chiffon fabrics that are flowing, and it's sort of this sand and water goddess that's coming through for me today, as I kind of find my footing after a week on the sea. Yeah. Hmm.
Beautiful. Very
Hmm.
Queen of Cups energy.
Queen of Cups. Okay. Cool. I'll take it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, because she, of course, is well water, but she's also the physical world too. So the sand and the water.
Hmm.
And
That
she
makes
is, of
sense.
course, about finding her emotional footing in the world. And she also
Hmm.
cares for her flock,
Hmm. Yes, that resonates. Thank you.
sometimes to her own detriment.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Helpful. Thank you.
Mm.
Yes. Well, we're already getting into the tarot, which I love so much. And you mentioned before we jumped on that you had done a little pre-interview reading. What came through in
Mm.
that? And did you
Oh no, I
say,
haven't. I haven't actually done it. No, what I meant was I've
okay.
created a reading for us to do.
Oh,
So
good.
I created five questions for us to ask and see what guidance we're going to get.
Oh my goddess, I love that. Okay, we'll get into that. Let's hear about you before we do that.
Hmm.
Before we jump into that fun work and play, tell me a little bit about how you got into the work that you are doing now. What was your journey into this service that you now get to provide?
So it's a colorful story.
Mm.
So I've always been into mysticism, and my family, it's generational. We've witches and psychics and all sorts of healers going down on both sides. But it all kind of culminated in me. So none of my cousins or my brothers and sisters, or I have no sisters, but none of my brothers are have the gift. My mother has it, and on my father's side, my aunt has it. There's a couple of them have it, and so it's kind of come down. But it was something I always ran from. You know,
Mm.
I always did it as a hobby, and it was an interest. But I was a an opera singer in a previous life.
Wow.
And I sang for a very long time, and that's how I know Richard
Hmm.
from Bearworld, because he brought me to New York to do a concert,
Mm.
and so it's a very interesting story. So um, I was always doing this. I mean, Richard will tell you the night after my concert in New York, the two of us were sitting in the lobby of the hotel I was staying in, and I was reading his tarot. So
Hmm.
it's always been something there. And then what happened was uh, fast forward a couple of years, I suppose. Um, I mean, I was always told by every mystic that I ever encountered that this is what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I mean,
Mm.
I was singing in London, and a friend of mine who was a psychic, we were reading cards for each other one night, and we did a couple of two drinks, and we were just chatting away. And she said to me, "When you're in your 40s, you're going to suddenly decide that's it, you're done, and you're going to start being like a psychic and tarot reader." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Jesus, no, 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 no. I'm a diva. No, it's not happening." So anyway, fast forward to the pandemic, and I got to the point in my life where I absolutely hated the profession of singing,
Mm.
and I wanted to change, and I wanted to do something different. And so I had this mad notion to go back and study to be a psychotherapist.
Mm.
And so I went and I retrained. And when they were doing around all the interviews for the colleges, they're saying, "So what will you do your thesis on?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fascinated by the idea of, you know, let's get psychic mediums to be grief counselors. Imagine the healing that could happen." And they're like, "Oh God, that sounds so cool." So anyway,
Mm.
lo and behold, this is what became my thesis. And while I was thinking about all this, I said, "Oh, do you know what? I'd better." Do something, official to have a little certificate to put into my thesis so people just don't think, because like I said, well, my grandmother taught me how to read the tarot and all sorts of stuff. I
Mm.
can't really, that's not really going to cut it in an academic thesis. So I saw an online class for €50 for the tarot. I said, I'll do that for 6 weeks. It'll be grand. And I get the certificate and boom. And I went into the first lesson, and it was this very famous medium from England called Richard Knight. And he went, "Oh my God, where did you come from?" And the next thing, boom, my whole career just blossomed from that. So
Mm.
I got the master's degree, and I work 2 mornings a week as a psychotherapist with traumatized children.
Mm.
And then the rest of the time, I am in state of flow, and I have people coming from all over the world for tarot, for healing,
Wow.
for all sorts of things, spiritual coaching, the lot. I do some online. And in
Hmm.
fact, next week I have two people flying in from America to
Mm.
have readings and healings with me.
Wow.
So it's kind of just gone that way. Yeah. And
Mm.
then I was always into metaphysics and spirituality and religion, but obviously being Irish, I was raised as a Catholic because that's the predominant religion of the country. But my mother was always like, "Well, you believe what you want to believe, blah 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 blah." And so uh, I came across the Gnostic Gospels, which started to really speak to me,
Mm.
and I was exposed to all sorts of different traditions growing up because of family circumstances, and I was very lucky. Um, but they really spoke to me, and then I ended up having this mad notion where I would uh, I'm rewriting currently the Gnostic Gospels as a tool for mental health, and I think it's
Mm.
really important for our communities as lesbian, gays, bisexual, trans, intersex, the whole umbrella, to have that faith brought back to us because it has been removed from us. And I do think that's an awful lot of problems with our community is because uh, so many of the faiths that are out there tell us that we're wrong, we're actually their faith has actually always celebrated us, but it was just people
Mm-hmm.
trying to control everything that took us out of the picture. Because after
Mm-hmm.
all, think about this, particularly with the trans people, they're the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And we as gays, we're all, if we talk about like Native Americans would have called us two spirit people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And I think it's very important for us to reclaim that a spiritual sense of ourselves, because I
Mm-hmm.
do think that this is what a big thing in our community is that we have the access to the divine has been removed from us, or
Mm-hmm.
they've tried to remove it from us. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that if we can start to believe in ourselves again, the power that we would have would be so amazing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the work that I do is trying to help people find, particularly our community, the divine inside themselves. Uh,
Mm.
And
Beautiful. Yeah. And what comes through for me as you share that is how within each of us there's this idea uh, that there's a divine masculine and a divine feminine, and this false notion that men or male-bodied people can access their divine masculine, but not so much their divine feminine, and that
yes,
and the vice versa for female-bodied folks, and that one of our superpowers as queer people, and particularly as for trans folks, is that there is this understanding, this inner knowing that we are both, that we can access both. And this, and with that superpower, we can be models for our hetero counterparts to recognize that we have access to both our divine masculine and our divine feminine, which means we have access to our full divinity, right? That there isn't just
exactly.
part. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. And it's interesting because I've now developed my own spiritual community. We started it last year with a friend of mine, Chris, who's non-binary. Um, Chris was born female, but identifies as non-binary, but trans male, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's very interesting. So we started this because he's also a shaman,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had some amazing group sessions, and once a month we meet now, and but our flock, if you like to call it,
Mm.
are all heterosexual, mainly all heterosexual, and but we have loads, and we've loads of men coming now. I
Mm.
say heterosexual men. Again,
Mm-hmm.
they're all trying to find that voice within themselves because they've
Mm-hmm.
been failed by religion. We like to call them
Mm-hmm.
SBNR, spiritual but not religious. So we help
Mm-hmm.
to unlock the divine inside themselves using different tools. And we talk about the Gnostic Gospels, or we talk about different religions, and we do all sorts of things. We do journeys into the underworld, and there's lots of guided
Mm.
meditations. And I always channel every single session, and I channel messages from
Mm.
the spirit world from them. And we do
Wow.
healings. It's a really beautiful day. And so actually, it's been really beautiful because it's clearly what's meant to be. Because so I end up going on at least one mystical quest a year. So
Mm.
um, where I go to see a friend of mine who's a really, really top astrologer called Andrew Smith, and he always rings and goes, Graham, I'm bringing your appointment for it. And then we have this chat, and he goes, you're supposed to be here in such and such a thing. And I go off, and I'm usually following the divine feminine. This sounds totally bonkers. But
Mm.
I've ended up in Italy where I had this mad revelation about the Virgin Mary and the Immaculate Conception being an allegory for manifestation, which led to the
Mm.
whole book coming about and then the spiritual community being founded and everything else. So my most recent one, I had this mad thing where I was going to Greece. And I wanted to go to Greece in March, but I couldn't because I was supposed to go in August, but that's what happened anyway. But anyway, I also went to Spain for a couple of weeks beforehand. And about 3 weeks before I got to Spain, I had a dream and I was told I needed to go to Montserrat. So I went
Mm.
to Montserrat and I was up and down the hills of Montserrat looking for the shrine to Venus, which has a shrine of Saint Michael built on top of it. And it crosses over these ley lines.
Wow.
So I found it eventually. And then I went and had an audience with the Black Madonna, in which I went and I prayed and I took. And I was sitting there in the cathedral, the basilica, thinking, "Oh, do you want me to do, love? Give me a
Mm.
break. You know, can you make things a little bit easier for me? Boom."
Mm.
And so 2 days later, I'm flying back to Dublin before I go on my next trip.
Mm.
2 days later, and I, I went because I ended up in Torremolinos and had a thing with St. Michael, and then I ended up in Greece, all in the space of a month. It was mad. But
Wow.
while I was sitting on the plane, this voice said to me, go to the old library.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So I couldn't get there till I got back from Greece. So I went down 2 days after I got back from Greece, and it was like I never left because many, many moons ago I used to run an arts festival there.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's completely cleared out. It's not a library anymore, and it's a community centre in the morning for intellectually disabled people. But
Mm.
now, and the rest of the time, it's an office for me and it's home for my spiritual group. So we have our own home now.
Mm.
So it's just
Nice.
growing and growing and growing. And
Mm.
it's been beautiful. So it's like listening to that little voice and seeing what goes. So that's where we are.
Wow, beautiful. I love that you have these mystical travel journeys annually and that you're feeling called to these places to receive the downloads, to connect and help the energy move and be taken care of in a good way there. And so this, I also love this SBNR, spiritual but not religious. I love that. I've never heard that acronym.
Mm.
And
I
and when you
created
talk
it.
I love that. That's so good. And when you talk about the Gnostic gospel, can you share a
Mm.
little more about that, your connection to it, what it is, and yeah.
So in 1945, in a cave in Qumran in Egypt, Um, this farmer was out tending his flock one day, and he came across this cave, and he discovered all these little jars which had papyrus in them. Right, they were hidden
Hmm.
away, and he thought they were actually demon scrolls and all sorts of. But it turns out they were fragments of the Gospels that were taken away during the Crusades. They're over 2,000 years old.
Wow.
And some of them predate the Bible as we know it. They were books that were removed and banned from the Bible. And the most powerful thing about all of them is that they give man power over himself and
Hmm.
teach people to find the divine inside themselves. And interestingly enough,
Hmm.
when they left Egypt, when they left the caves of Egypt, they were secreted out and they ended up in the collection of Carl Jung, the
Hmm.
psychiatrist. And this was at the same time he discovered his theory of the anima and the animus, the divine feminine and the
Hmm.
divine masculine.
Hmm.
And he started to think that this church can only survive when it acknowledges the divine mother. So,
Hmm.
and it started to influence all that work in the Red Book.
Hmm.
So, in them, you have things like the Gospel of Thomas, and you've got the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is extremely beautiful, extremely
Hmm.
beautiful. And the Gospel of Thomas, and the one thing that's just, and they all kind of correlate. And the one thing about the Gospel of Thomas that stuck out for me always was, have no laws, lest you become bound by them.
Hmm.
And the same with that's also echoed in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and also um, there is no such thing as sin. Yeah, that
Hmm.
which you call sin, which is adultery, and adultery meaning that you forget the divine inside yourself, not that you have covered your
Hmm.
neighbor's wife or anything like that. It's
Hmm.
really, really powerful, and
Oh, so good.
because you become divorced from your own spiritual nature, that's when we have sin.
Hmm.
So we practice a technique called Lectio Divina, where
Hmm.
we take different, and that was also banned by the Catholic Church, which, because again, it empowers you to have your own experience with the divine. So you take a
Hmm.
piece of sacred text. Now, we don't literally just stick to all Christian stuff, but we take whatever. We might take something from a Buddhist Bodhisattva Sutra or whatever,
Hmm.
and we'll sit there and we'll go through it. And you read through it a few times very slowly. And then a bit like what would happen in a Quaker meeting, whatever moves you, you speak about. And then you try to
Hmm.
bring that into your life for the rest of the week. It's really powerful practice. Um,
Hmm.
and we started intention work again because when two or more are gathered in my name, and we've seen miracles happen for people.
Hmm.
Um, we said, and again, Lynn McTaggart in her work, she talks about the power of intention. I was at a lecture of hers about 3 weeks ago now, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing that. So good. Phew, I'm not doing wrong. That's good." So, and it's really interesting when people start to work together in groups. It's amazing what we can change.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we have a circle now, and people send me things, and I always do daily. I have a book that I fill, and I pray over it every day, and I send healing to all the people that ask me to. But then
Hmm.
in my group, we bring in the intentions for people who are whatever they want us to pray for. We'll put them into the group, and we'll pray for all of their intentions. So
Hmm.
it's quite powerful what you can do when you
Yeah.
focus that intention.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And it's interesting, this idea of pre Catholicism, pre-Christianity gospel is coming through. Just yesterday, I was
Mm,
with my spiritual community, and the person who leads is a the son of a preacher, like a old school, like, charismatic kind of church, and he, was going down that path himself, and then he had a moment of revelation that this was not the path for him. And one of the major parts that helped him see that was someone had asked him, "What is the gospel?" And what he knew was the gospel was that Christ died for our sins. And
mm,
that was what had been taught to him and to many Christians, that the
mm,
gospel is Christ died for our sins, and now it is our duty to, to praise him and to uh, to serve in his name. And so what was discovered in this conversation he was having was there was gospel before Christ. Christ was here to
hmm
spread the gospel. So if the gospel
hmm
is about Christ's death, it doesn't make sense, right? And so,
mm,
and when we really go back and look at gospel, pre-Christ gospel, before, Christianity and before a lot of the religious dogma took what was happening and turned it into this story of repentance and sin,
mm,
when
hmm
we go back earlier, we're able to see that the gospel, or the word that we were meant to receive from God, is this knowing that we are God incarnate, that God is
Exactly.
within each of us, that is the truth. And that's unfortunately, a lot of religious dogma has been trying to cover that up in order to keep the control and to keep the power over.
Exactly. And in the Gnostic Gospels, there's a whole different creation myth, and how
Cool.
it's so powerful, and how
Mm.
Sophia, who is the wisdom of God, which is a feminine aspect of God, breathed life
Hmm.
into the world. And then
Mm.
to try and know the ineffable and knowable source of light, she ended up creating what was called the demiurge, who
Hmm.
created the world. And
Hmm.
in her mistake, so then she tried to come back and redeem us by giving us the knowledge that we became the light. So she helped create Christ and brought Christ consciousness into the world. It's so
Mm.
amazing. And then how we connect back to that to bring us forward so that we can know the light inside ourselves. And interestingly enough, in the Gnostic Gospels, in the Gnostic creation myth, there are seven hells that we need to go through to get to the light. Right? Then you've got
Mm.
the seven powers of Mary Magdalene,
Mm.
which correspond to the seven demons as the Catholic Church used to demonize her. Then you have the
Mm.
seven chakras, you have the seven mansions of Saint Teresa of
Mm.
Avila. All of these lessons that we need to get over. And when you think about the like the seven Maidots as well, in the Hebrew Kabbalah, they all relate, and it's
Mm.
all about giving us back the power so that we can recognize the divine inside ourselves, so that we can
Mm.
change the world.
Mm.
It's
Wow.
so powerful.
Ooh, so good. Yeah. And especially this piece around the divine feminine that has been so overshadowed and so oppressed. Even your story of this going to see Venus, and there was a Saint Michael shrine over top of it, right? I
Hmm
am aware, it reminds me of this Celtic pilgrimage that I was able to experience, the Camino de Santiago,
Oh yes,
which
beautiful.
essentially was originally a Celtic pilgrimage, and the Catholics had taken it over and sort of changed the history of it. And there's so many instances of this where the original intent of spirit, of source, of God has been shrouded with deceit, with lies and deceit. And so, yeah, I'm really present to how our work here is to help uncover that and to help expose the light, right? To bring
hmm
forth the light. And a lot of that work involves illuminating the feminine, because that's been one of the main areas that's been repressed and oppressed.
And think about that, right? We've been taught for thousands of years that it's shameful to be feminine,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Now, and even in our own community, as we're both gay men, we
Hmm.
have we don't like anything to be seen as effeminate.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
it's because we're trying to fit into a heterosexual world so that we stay safe and we stay normalized. And like for me, the old grinder profiles of discreet just go away.
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah, and
But
mask for
yeah,
mask, and
yeah, that's
yeah.
all this stuff. And r- you know, and so where we're trying to be in a hyper-masculine world, where actually we don't need to be. We just need to accept people for who they are and let them be because they're already
Mhm.
perfect as they are.
Absolutely. And the feminine is not weak. I think that's the other lie that
It's
we've been
actually
taught.
far more powerful
Hmm.
because the feminine in the tarot actually teaches us that the feminine, which is the subconscious, will guide us into the light once we suppress the
Mm.
ego, which is the sun. And of course,
Mm.
the high priestess is the ultimate embodiment because she's between the moon and the earth. She's the empress and the moon in one, and she's the
Mm.
gateway to the subconscious. So
Mm.
it's very, very interesting that the whole thing is about going through the journey where you lose your ego, and your ego
Hmm.
then becomes in partnership with this um with the subconscious to manifest the life that you're supposed to lead once you go through
Wow.
all of the lessons.
Wow. Epic.
Mhm.
Epic. Okay. Thank you for this fun exploration so far. Let's get into the reading that you had in. Oop, as my
Yes. So
microphone crashes.
that's all right. Well, clearly we're in post or Mercury retrograde shadow.
Okay.
So where
Amazing.
things with communication go astray.
Mm-hmm.
As in tomorrow we will enter Mercury retrograde full. So
Mm.
there's quite a lot of stuff going on this particular month. We have sorry, it's not tomorrow. Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th. We have the full moon tomorrow night as well. So, and then we have Venus entering Scorpio on the 6th. We have the new moon on the 20th. We've Jupiter going retrograde, which is always fun for everybody because that's judgment. And then Saturn, of
Mm.
course, turns direct, thankfully, in November on the 27th of November. And Mercury retrograde ends on the 29th. So we're all good for Christmas.
Oh,
So,
good.
yes,
It
yay,
all it
thank
all
God.
calms down. We find peace. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. So the next few weeks are going to be very interesting. So what I did was I created a 5 card spread for tonight. Okay,
Mm.
so we're just going to ask 5 questions. Okay,
Beautiful.
so the idea of this spread was that it's going to align with the full moon in Taurus and inviting grounding, stability, and awareness of values amidst Uranus's shakeup, because that's happening as well, and
Hmm.
Mercury's reflective retrograde shadow, which is going to be very interesting. So I've written 5 questions that we're going to ask for pulling for each card.
Hmm.
Okay. And then we're going to just see what comes up for each of the energies. How does that work for you?
Beautiful. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to switch my camera on overhead so you can see the cards.
Awesome.
Um, Now, this is my right hand. Can you see that?
Uh-huh. Hmm.
And this is my left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So now we are going to get some really nice tarot cards. I'm feeling drawn to use this box. I've just been playing with it recently, and look, it has the divine masculine and the divine feminine in perfect harmony.
Perfect. Perfect.
So this is called the Tarot of Traditions
Hmm.
by Luz. Their cards are absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
So when I'm going to ask you to tell me when, and I'm going to divide the cards into 3 piles.
Okay.
Okay,
Now.
that's coming out. That's interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
so now let's put them back. I'll put them back, and I will do
Hmm.
once more. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And now.
Okay, so I'm going to divide them into 3 piles. So we have the left, we have the middle, and we have the right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out uh, the three, the 5 questions. And what I'm going to do, so this is going to be just a bit of fun we're going to have tonight. Okay. When I ask a question, I want you to tell me if you want left, middle, or right.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Because it's your intuition then picking the card. Okay.
Mm.
So the first question, which is the anchor, okay,
Mm.
is what in your life offers grounding, stability, and nourishment? Okay, Taurus themes of maternity, material security, sensual pleasure, and self-worth. Okay, but this is a collective reading, so it's for everybody. You're going to be our Patsy for tonight. So you ask me, you tell me when. Left, middle, or right?
So right.
We're going to take the right. Okay, so that's card one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, card two, this is about release. So, what needs to be let go of, surrendered, or transformed under the full moon? A time of culmination, clarity, and shift. So, again, left, middle, or right?
Middle.
It's in the middle to solve the riddle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the third question is your value shift. So, what aspect of your values, resources, self worth, or material world is being called into new awareness? Now, that's an interesting one.
Mm. Middle again.
So, again, question four. This is the emergent seed. I love this.
Mm.
So, what new possibility, gift, or fertile potential is now ready to bloom as a result of this lunation?
Left.
Beautiful. And question five, support from the stars.
Mm.
What cosmic or inner archetype can help you navigate this period? What quality or to embody? What power to lean into?
Mm. Middle again.
Middle again. Okay, now I'm going to flip them over. We're going to put these back together and we're going to leave them to the side in case you want to draw extra cards
Fun.
on what we've chosen. Okay, so now we're going to have a beautiful story here, hopefully. So our first card was the anchor card, which is what in your life offers grounding, stability, and nourishment. Okay,
Mm.
so with themes of material security, sensual pleasure, and self-worth.
Mm.
What did you choose? How beautiful is that?
Mhm.
It is the Nine of Pentacles, which is all about luxuriating in what you've got.
Mhm.
That's really, really beautiful. So the Nine of Pentacles is an interesting one because if you can just see, she has a little snail down here at her feet.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what this tells us is it's taken you a long time to get where you are, if we're reading
Mhm.
for you.
Mhm.
Okay. So you've had many challenges, but now you're in a good place. Everything is comfortable. Okay. That's not
Mhm.
to say that there's other challenges, but you're able to look at what you have with a sense of contentment because you're still able to build for the future because
Mhm.
you have a stable base to build upon. So
Mhm.
she has a falcon on her hand, but it's able to fly off because she's not trying to control it. So this is about
Mhm.
luxuriating in what you've got. This is
Mhm.
beautiful because it's a very Taurian energy because it is pentacles. And
Mhm.
it means that you've weathered the storm and that you're quite capable of that as well. So,
Mhm.
so you've learned your lessons and it's taken time. You've found your voice. So how would
Mhm.
that sit with you?
Yeah, perfectly beautiful. Yeah, it's remembering to be present to the abundance that is currently
Mm,
here, that is now, and instead of future tripping and worrying about any potential scarcity to come, it's like, how
mm,
can I just really relish in what I have now? And from that place, allow, my, going back to the chakras, like allow my root chakra to feel open and grounded. And that's been
mm.
some of my work lately. So that resonates deeply.
Yeah, because you're being asked to slow down and trust. And that's what this is about. And it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful that this card has appeared for that.
Mm-hmm.
So should we move on to card two?
Sure.
So this is our release. So what needs to be let go of, surrendered or transformed under this full moon? Okay,
Mm.
so Uranus is re-entering Taurus, as we already said. So what feels ripe for release in my body, my finances, or my relationships? Let's have a look. Oh, this is gorgeous. It's the world.
Hmm.
Now that's
Wow.
interesting because the world card, and interesting enough, we were talking about trans people earlier. This
Mm-hmm.
is the divine hermaphrodite who's perfectly in balance between the male and the female. And they
Wow.
have the four elements,
Oh, wow.
okay, around them, represented by the four cardinal signs of the zodiac. So
Cool.
you have Scorpio, you have Taurus, you have Leo, and of course you have Gemini. So this is really, really interesting. So it's about that perfect balance, and of course victory, the laurel wreath around them, and of course it's also the divine ovum because it's the egg. If you look,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is about to give birth. Okay, so Or the world card means that if we're talking about in terms of what needs to be let go of, surrendered or transformed under this full moon, this is it's a time of culmination, clarity, and shift. So for me, then this is telling you that you need it's about you actually are in a very good place. That this is all about you culminate, you enjoying your culmination of what you've
Mm,
got. But how would that sit with you?
mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I get curious about what that means in terms of releasing.
Yeah.
Is the idea that
So
there
I think
isn't a re
I think it's for you, it's about it's not necessarily so much releasing, but it's more about acknowledging and just that, to know that you're
Mm,
able to dance in the storm. And I
I
think
see.
it's the fear of losing
Yes,
things, I think is what you have
yes,
to release.
yes. That makes sense. Yes. Yeah, that it's here, that it's here, that it's come,
Yeah,
it's arrived. Yeah. And that it's not about it's about recognizing that I can let go of that old fear. Yeah, beautiful.
yeah. I think
Hmm.
that's what it is you say, because actually this is telling me, because this is really beautiful and really powerful. So
Mm,
far, it's like you have everything. You don't need to keep worrying or don't need to keep striving.
mm,
You're
mm,
there, you know?
mm, mm,
And then if we say our value shift, and this is quite interesting. So what aspect of your values, resources, self-worth, or material world is being called into a new awareness? So where are you redefining your sense of self-worth? Okay.
mm,
So let's
mm,
have a look at that then. This is just the weirdest thing. So you're after,
mm,
for this card, you've chosen judgment, which is a new
mm.
awakening, which is so funny, which is the value shift. Okay.
Wow.
So judgment is a karmic card. So it's about having learned all your lessons. Okay. And you're ready to
Mm,
move forward. Okay. This is
mm.
a very interesting. And of course, we have the Archangel Gabriel blowing his trumpet to waken the dead. So this is totally a
Ooh.
time of new renewal for you.
Mm,
And you're being guided towards your destiny. So if we're talking in terms of a value shift, so what aspect of your values, resources, self-worth, or material world is being called into new awareness? And again, if we're reflecting on what's already come, it's kind of,
mhm,
yeah, you're already there. You've nothing more that you need to
mm,
worry about. It's just you now need to live your truth. That's what I'm feeling. This is really
mm,
empowering you for this, you know.
mm.
Um, do you feel that you're redefining your sense of self-worth?
Yes, I have. That's been a big part of my work over the past 6 months. Yes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Could you elucidate on that?
Certainly. Yeah, it's been some major healing work around recognizing my inherent self-worth, recognizing that I don't have to perform or to overly serve or to do so much, and that I can accept and acknowledge and know in my innermost being this worthiness that is there simply by being who I am, by being me, by being
Mm.
alive. And it's been some healing work around looking at the challenges that I had when I started to realize that I was gay and started to feel like I had to be perfect in my childhood home to kind of make up for that fact, right? And so recognizing that that was my old pattern and recognizing that I didn't need to do that, that actually I am perfect and fully worthy of love and acceptance and unconditional appreciation and abundance just for being me.
And you are, and you know what? I'm going to show you on this card. Now,
Hmm.
I know there's light shining on it, so I'm trying to bring it up as
Yeah,
close as
yeah.
possible. Can you
Hmm.
see there's a man and a woman and a
Hmm.
child there
Hmm. Hmm.
coming out of the coffin? So
Yeah,
that speaks
wow.
to that narrative, isn't it? And then
Yes,
if you see in
absolutely.
the background, there's like people naked dancing, and
Hmm.
then there's the mountains. So you've left all of those obstacles behind and you have balanced the masculine and the feminine to
Mm.
reclaim that child. You've done your inner
Mm.
child work.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that
thank
then
you.
ties into what you've just said. That's really powerful. And this is your awakening. And the
Mm.
fact that the mountains are in the distance means that it's all gone. You're
Mm.
there. You've
Mm.
left it. Okay, shall we
Awesome.
move on?
Yes, thank you.
So the emergent seed. So what new possibility, gift, or fertile potential is now ready to bloom as a result of this lunation? So let's have a quick look. So what is the new seed of potential this full moon is illuminating for you? Oh my God, John! Wow. Wow, this is really powerful. So look at this. We have the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is about a swift moving energy where things are moving forward. It's usually a really good sign if you're waiting on something to come to you, like a piece of good news. But this
Yes.
is all about transformation. So
Mm.
so it tells me that you're looking for a piece of news that's going to bring you a good opportunity that you can start using your creative talents in a new direction. Is
Mm.
this resonating with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because we see the little city over here.
Mm-hmm.
So that means what you're looking for is coming towards you. Then we have the
Mm.
caterpillars turning into the butterflies, and they're all golden. So this is about you moving past your fears. Okay. But
Mm.
again, it's a swift moving energy, and the clouds are clearing up in the background. Can you see that? So the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts are clearing around it. So whatever doubts or fears that you've had, you're leaving them behind. And this
Mm.
opportunity, you're going to get the news that you've been waiting for is coming towards you.
Mm.
So I don't know whether you want to reveal anything, but that's kind of what it's telling me. It's about
Yeah,
some
there's just been, yeah, some stuff in the works that has
Mhm,
been on hold for some time. And, it's starting to have me feel that fear and that doubt. And I'm
mhm,
working on, like, my work has been to not allow that to take over my energy and to stay,
mhm,
back to the first card, to stay in that luxuriating in the abundance instead of
mhm,
worrying that things might not move forward in the way that I'm hoping they
mhm.
will. So that's a very hopeful card for me. That feels good.
Well, I actually do feel that it's going to come to you very, very soon. And
Hmm.
now, is it going to be 8 days or 8 weeks? It does say
Hmm.
this lunation. So I feel it's kind of the energy that we're coming into. So it's going to be between now and I'm going to give myself a grace period of 8 weeks. So
Cool. Okay.
you're getting some good news within eight,
Awesome.
right?
Awesome. Within
Okay.
eight. Wonderful.
Within eight. But this is really promising because so it's asking you like what new possibility is coming towards you. So it is really bad. And this is going to give you an opportunity in your work life that's going to allow you to use your creativity and your passion.
Hmm.
But it's also
Awesome.
about you using it to help other people transform their lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
keep being drawn to the caterpillar going to the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to help people with mental clarity. That's what I'm feeling.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the final one, which is support from the stars. So, what
Mm.
cosmic or inner archetype can help you navigate this period? So, what quality do you need to embody and what power do you need to lean into? So, that's quite interesting. So, is it patience? Is it courage? Is it love? Is it innovation? Or
Mm.
is it simply surrender? Okay, let's have a
Mm.
look. Oh my God. Like, this is like the best reading ever. This is like,
Yay.
you're after getting the sun. Look at that. Look at the sun. It's like a totally gay sun.
Beautiful.
Look
Yes,
at that.
so good.
And look
Mm-hmm.
again, look, we have the child on top of the
Mm-hmm.
horse,
Mm-hmm.
with the flag, with the sun, with the five sunflowers, okay, which again
Mm-hmm.
represents change. This is a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful card because it's also new possibilities, okay? And the sun
Mm-hmm.
is everything that we associate with as confidence. So you need to have to just have a bit more fun, but you also need to just have more love and just be surrounded by joy and bliss and have the
Mm-hmm.
courage to be yourself and step into into the spotlight because the horse
Mm-hmm.
is it represents peace. Okay, because it's
Mm-hmm.
white. Okay, so you're finding your peace by finally being authentic and stepping into the light. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what it's asking you to do. And that's where the change comes from because your change is going to inspire others people to do the same.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So good.
Mm. And I do think
Wow.
interesting enough because we've had Jupiter and Saturn. That's
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting. And Scorpio, which is of course hidden truths, they're all being
Mm.
affected this month. So it is asking you to really think about where you're moving energetically. You know,
Mm.
when Saturn turns direct, Saturn, of course, is of course the father of truths and time.
Mm.
So this is time for you to start stepping into your power. It's really,
Beautiful.
really interesting. Yeah.
Mm, beautiful. What an incredible reading. And
Yeah.
it all resonates so deeply with me personally. And my hope is that it also is resonating for the collective as I was, receiving this for the collective as well. Yeah, any thoughts on that, on how this can be applied to not just me, but to all listeners even?
Well, I think. it is about acknowledging where we are in our lives and
Hmm.
using the talents that we've got, because everything in our lives happens for a reason.
Yes.
Okay. So we, good, bad, or indifferent, everything has happened to shape us.
Hmm.
Okay. And we need to acknowledge this because sometimes we get so consumed in things that have gone wrong, but then we haven't
Hmm.
realized actually, I've overcome this. I have inner strength that I haven't recognized.
Hmm.
And actually, I am worthwhile. I am this. And sometimes
Yes.
it's about taking that narrative back and taking the narrative control because we hyperfixate on what's wrong rather than looking what the positives of the situation are.
Yes.
Because the thing is, if you've survived something, you need to remember, I actually did that
Yes.
rather than waiting for the shoe to drop. Because again, if you keep
Mm.
focusing on the negative, that's what you bring. So this is, I think, what this is about. It's acknowledging where we are in our lives and looking
Hmm.
with a very clear focus on, okay, this has gone wrong, but this happened afterwards. This went
Yes.
wrong. This went right. Look at this. Look what I've learned from this. This has happened. This has
Mm.
happened. And how did I overcome that? How can I use that strength to change what's happening at the moment?
Mm.
This is about tapping into your inner resilience, you know,
Yes.
and going inwards and doing that work and thinking, okay, the power really is inside me to change my reality because
Hmm.
I just need to acknowledge my own power. Because, for example, if something terrible has happened to you and you're still standing, you realize, oh
Hmm.
my God, I'm a survivor. I can overcome anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, what I hear in that is the shift in focus, right? The
Mm,
shift in focus from any sense of victimhood into empowerment and
yeah,
to recognize the blessings that are already present and the blessings that are coming and the work that's already been done. To recognize that
exactly.
so much has happened that has been moving us forward. And even though it feels sometimes like we are facing this uphill battle, to recognize that we have already successfully moved past so many uphill battles and
Mm.
perhaps we're not looking up, perhaps we're actually at the peak and ready to receive more abundance, more blessings that are just on the other side.
Exactly. And, interesting, I had a conversation very recently where I had to review something for another podcast I had been invited on as a guest. And um, it struck me, and I was reading through, so it was about a codependent relationship. And I was sitting there thinking to myself about things. And this brings me back to this point of sometimes we hold on to our trauma because it's like a badge of honor, but
Hmm.
actually we're actually using it in the negative because it giving us a false sense of identity. And what I like
Mm.
to say is I would like to say that, you know, we're all searching for wholeness, but what is wholeness? Wholeness is
Mm.
when you get to a place in your life where you don't need your wound to mean anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
You've moved past it, you've survived it. So
Hmm.
then you no longer have to have it as part of your identity. It becomes something
Yes.
outside of you.
Yes. Yes, and a source of, like you said, strength and resilience, a source
Mm,
of knowing that we can move through difficult things, that it's not
mm,
about the wound that it has caused, but it's about the strength that it has cultivated within us.
exactly.
Mm, beautiful.
Exactly.
Do you want to shift off
So,
the cards and back to you?
yes, come back to you. Yes, sorry.
Wow, what a beautiful reading. I love those cards too. And yeah, I mean, each of them resonated with me so deeply. I think what I'm sitting with is the challenge to fully embody the belief of all of it. I think that's sometimes where I get challenged is uh to to do my best to let go of any of the doubt and move into full embodied belief and faith. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I'm just
I
present
think
to that.
that's the challenge for most of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
and myself included, that sometimes we have to just roll with the punches. And
hmm.
I think now in my own place in my own life, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this recently,
Mm,
and I think I'm in a very good place where everything is in balance, and because now everything is in balance, I can now move forward to what it is I ultimately want to do, and
hmm.
that is to be able to guide people back into the light. But the only way that
Hmm.
I could do that is by having all of my lessons that I've needed to learn in alignment and realize actually, yes, I've overcome this. This is no longer an issue for me. Blah, 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 blah. And, to look at it as sort of true as it was interesting. We were doing a thing about my dots, as I mentioned earlier, and the seven lessons that come with each of them, and you're supposed to grade them. And I sat there
Mm,
and I thought to myself, actually, I'm perfectly balanced between all of them because
mm,
I no longer need to have this or that, or I'm no longer worried about this or that. And I just feel in a place of contentment. And
mm,
therefore, when you're in that state of flow, everything can start to come towards you because you're
mm,
no longer grasping or striving. You're simply
mhm.
being, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. In that state of surrender and flow.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I do love
good.
talking to you.
I love talking to you too. And the first tarot reading we did was so epic, but this one was equally epic, or it felt so to me. So thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm excited for folks to get to learn of you and to connect with you. Do you offer online readings to folks?
I do, yeah, I do.
Cool.
So I have, if people look for me, on Instagram and all the different platforms,
Mhm.
I'm Celtic Tarot Therapy.
Cool.
They'll find me everywhere. And I do online readings, and you can book a slot with me at a time of your choosing. There are certain days where I only see people in person, but there are certain days where I will do
Cool.
online stuff. And
Nice.
people can even come and learn tarot with me at certain times
Mm,
of the year. So there's all sorts of things going on. But yes, or
mm,
they can come and have a spiritual coaching with me either,
mm,
where I'll use my tarot or my mediumship or whatever to bring through messages that will help them move forward in their lives. So the
beautiful.
int
Any final messages that want to come through now for those listening?
Well, I was thinking to oh my God. So I just
Mm,
picked up the cards, and the first card that came
hmm
was, look at this. I pulled three major arcana cards.
Whoa.
The first one was death.
Whoa.
The second one was temperance,
hmm
and the final one was the devil.
What? Okay. You got to give us
Okay,
some
now,
insight.
so interestingly, if we're going on with the theme of what we've already discussed,
hmm
death tells us that death comes to everything, but death is not to be feared. Death is transformation, and we are in Scorpio season. And Scorpio, death
hmm
Scorpio rules the card of death
hmm
because we have to look at what we're again same lessons. It's a karmic card. It's nothing to be feared of because we need to invite transformation in so that we can move forward and leave the past behind us. The
hmm
temperance is telling us to be cautiously optimistic.
hmm
Okay, because if you see the angel has the mind body symbol here, the triangle. So that's all in
hmm
balance. And he's just dipping his toe into the water, which is of course the subconscious. But he has one
hmm
foot on land. So he's balanced between the land and the water. And he's able
hmm
to go on the journey through the realm of the known into the unknown, which is here in the distance, which is of course the realm of the high priestess, which is the subconscious. So
hmm
he's able to move forward on that journey because he's allowing the transformation. If you see the waters being passed between one cup to the other,
hmm
that represents, of course, ionization, which is an
hmm
alchemical process, which is, of course, transformation from one thing to another.
hmm
So we're not to fear the journey. Again,
Nice.
we're going to be guided if we listen to our subconscious because we know what's right for us. But we have
That
to
inner
trust the
knowing.
path. And
hmm
then, interestingly enough, the devil.
hmm
So this is an often misunderstood card. Okay. So the piece of advice here is this. Okay. The devil is sometimes an invitation for us to stop being so pernickety about things and to release and have a little bit of fun.
hmm
Because sometimes, if you can see Adam and Eve here, down
hmm
here,
hmm
they have chains around their necks,
hmm
but they're loose. They could actually take them off themselves because sometimes this is telling us that we need to stop uh, chaining ourselves up with our past deeds and think about what it is that
Mm.
we want because we then become slaves to our own desires and our
hmm
own fears. And interestingly enough, the devil is actually, believe it or believe it not, the archangel Uriel in disguise in
Whoa.
the tarot. And Uriel is, of course, the fire of God. And sometimes
Mm.
the fire, we need to burn everything down and get to scorched earth so that we can begin again. So the devil is a
Hmm.
card of temptation and desire, but sometimes we become slave to the thing, enslaved to the wrong things. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to step out of that. And sometimes we need to step out of what's comfortable for us and take that risk.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Wow, powerful, so powerful. I love it. No, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for this. This has been such a joy, such a exciting and fun journey for me, and I'm just so grateful that our paths crossed, and I hope they keep crossing, my friend.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I've absolutely no doubt. I really don't. It's in the cards.
It's in the cards. Well, thank you again, my love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.